confession now. Jade definitely has been doing this himself. I was gone for a brief moment the last couple of weeks, well, last week and a half, but he's definitely been doing some work. Am I allowed to give the location?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this is
Well,
the
come on
power.
upstairs first. We'll
Oof,
open it up with this.
it's already looking sexy.
All right, go ahead.
This is looking sexy.
Yeah, we'll cover that when we'll
Ooh,
go top down.
baby. Yeah, let's go top down. I'm excited. Let's go. Where you at? Want some of this? Drop my bag here.
I'll try to, since I'm showing a map on mine, I'll try to talk through where we're looking to.
Yeah. Because I don't have that in my overlay yet. Because A, I'm a scrub, and B, I had to fix a
It's all
bunch of my
good.
stuff.
I'll try to talk it as best I can.
You want to talk me
Okay,
off?
so I guess we're. Oh yeah, always.
Yeah, baby.
Look at this guy. Yeah, you want some? All right,
Uh,
so come on over here in the corner and go third person. Just take a look. This is, as you know, we love Cherno City. We love it. And this is just north of there. I'm going to put an overlay up on mine. There's the bigger map on mine. I'm going to give some battleship coordinates. This is Cherno is F1, E1, and E2. We are just north of F1. So I'd say we're like F2. So we're just north of Cherno City. This might look familiar. Those pair of tents right there. A lot of people loot those. But this is the power plant. You can, yeah, dude, everybody loots these. Are you kidding me? These are the little grouping of tents that are just north of Cherno City. It's so like Blota Airfield is just over this hill in this direction. And yeah, so you know it's the power station because of these transformers, and you can use these power lines to come in. But more importantly, we did a little bit of this, but this is kind of a rundown. We're going to add some more pieces to this. This will be a longer segment, but oh my goodness, it'll be worth it. So if you look here, we have a perimeter. There are numerous gaps in the surrounding area. And there's also a lockable gate, which is very nice for vehicles and for uh, poor man perimeter gates, right? When you don't have the supplies. Like I know we've collected a lot of supplies here, but we're going under the assumption that most people will be broke when 104 hits for PlayStation 4 and for the Xbox One, because we've been playing it in 104 on the PC. So we thought we'd come back here in 102 before the wipe, before the big update of 104, and show everybody what we've learned. So primarily, we covered this before, but we'll cover it again. Server hopping has changed the game in a lot of ways. Looting, but more importantly, ghosting, or the lack thereof of ghosting. Nobody can jump inside your base anymore. And that is the best news ever. So building means something. Fortifying a position, it means something. People have to come in. They can no longer just appear behind you unless they've already been in the server and they happen to sign out behind you and you just didn't know it, which is very unlikely. If we go downstairs, we'll kind of run through some of the perimeter, and then we'll talk about some of the stuff we already built in place, and then we're going to add to that. And depending on how long it takes, we might have to cut it up into a few chunks, but that's okay. This will look familiar if people have been playing. This is a lot of people call this the bird box, but this is just a prefab building that has existed before. You see this down by Solnichi Factory, but we'll walk the perimeter. First, we'll walk around the structure here, and we'll explain why things are where they are now. But another reason why this is such a fantastic location is clearly these tents. For the same reason we were covering there in Cherno City, we're close to these looting spots. So we go in, we loot cycle the legitimate way, and then we come back here, and then you can just rinse repeat. You'll get a ton of military gear, but also these little industrial buildings, these garages, can have car parts, they can have building materials, metal sheets. They can also have nails. And if you notice, we have another two inside of the perimeter. So as we walk these, take note of the walls and just how big this area is. Now, it's great. If you're going to go and rope this area off, it's good for duos and up. You can definitely do this solo, but it's definitely a test in testicular fortitude.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty big swing right away, you know? But it's good. It's really good. I don't know about you guys, but when 104 hits for council, we're building here. So, and if you look out here, this garage opens up to the outside. So again, this takes a little bit more to get started. but not too much. As a matter of fact, you don't even technically need a lockpick to get started. So let's go ahead and, well, let's go ahead and finish the perimeter real quick. So here's the gate, and I cannot run. I must be carrying loads of stuff. Ignore these fences here, but there's actually a gap on this side. You can see it under this fence.
Oh,
You
I
can
see
kind
what
of
you're
see why
doing.
we put the fences up here.
Yeah.
But you can see right out of the gate, like not only do we have these garages that we can loot from, as long as we continue to loot cycle, again, in a legitimate way, in the way it was intended by the developers, because apparently there was some exploit 2-3 years ago that it was called loot cycling, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about legitimate gameplay here. It's probably confusing for most people, but I'm putting it out there. So you can see just how many gaps there are. There's a lot of great loot spawns, but this perimeter is very large. And even behind the prefab structure here, you can see there's another break in the wall. So to really piggyback off of what Razor said and what I had said prior is we want to start small and fortify and then build out. Now, another point of this is there are high points back here behind the wall, this grassy hill. It creates a kill box down here. And also across the way, more towards the power lines and that tree line off yonder. Definitely good places for people to post up and start to blast your wig. So with that in mind, you want good cover. So what's the best cover we got right now? Prefab, baby. So you can already tell what we did. We have 2 points of entry here and over by the doorway. And we'll go over inside why we did this. Well, first of all, this gives us cover from all of the hot spots that people can shoot down on. And the perimeter's not secure first because it's so expensive and so time consuming because planks are hard to get, especially on foot. So you want to do as little as possible, or you want to do as much as possible with as little as possible. So if you come inside here, let me close this so it's less confusing. We did 2 of these. What's funny is last time we did this build, somebody must have ripped this wall down. Go ahead and close that door.
Oh yeah.
So we have 2.
I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say real quick, and that's just on the outside. Sorry, I let Jay talk for a while because I kind of wanted him to get it, talk about the perimeter. But I kind of wanted to mention, even if you think this is like a crap location because you have all this high ground around your base, I mean, you really don't have to worry about it because, like he's saying, your cover is gonna be this box. You know, it's gonna be this building here. So that, in a nutshell, I think, kind of describes just the perimeter in general. And like I was saying before, always start small. Lock the building down first, and then work your way out. Because if somebody finds you and at least you got the building locked down, then you're good. But um, but before he starts going over the interior, because it looks pretty sexual from a DayZ standpoint, don't worry about all this high ground around you. And I mean, honestly, when you get it all built up, you obviously got all these windows on each side to kind of compensate for the lack of high ground that you're going to have over some of the people trying to raid you. Alright, sorry.
Oh, it's all good, and we'll go inside and check some of those vantage points. I'm going to address something somebody said in chat. Dave Z says, I smell cheating. Not from us. Definitely none of our group. We've never engaged in duping or anything else or ghosting of any sort. But if you played on console recently, again, we're playing this in 102, but we're advising people for 104 as we have been playing it on PC. You already know there's tons of this garbage everywhere. So what we did, or what I did for like 3 days, is I collected up all this extra trash. And in some cases, some of this trash was already in this location. So honestly, I think this is a good location because on 3 other servers, I saw a lot of building materials in this very location. They were set up differently, but yeah, so we figured since there's going to be a big wipe, we might as well use the loot in a good way and show people what we've learned in 104. But yeah, by no means has any of, well, like, I haven't, and I know our team hasn't, None of us do duping, so you can bank on that. So just want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah.
And the reason why we have so many supplies on hand, because most likely people will be watching this when it's 104, and that's awesome. We're trying to show you how to do this on the cheap, because that's how it's going to be. I'm telling you, we've been playing 104 for almost a month, and the looting feels great, but there is scarcity of resources, so keep that in mind. So
Hey,
yeah, let's step inside. I'll
who's
show you
who
show you
said
some of
that?
the
Was it
fortifications.
Dave? Was that Dave?
Dave Z.
Yeah. Hey, Dave Z. How about this? If you want to smell cheating, go on both of our channels and check out all the videos that we posted of us clapping dupers, dude, and taking all their loot.
All
All of it.
All 147 of my streams, you can watch them in their entirety, and you tell me if we cheated one time.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm gonna close this door.
Some of them are 20 hours, so good luck. Okay, so check this out. So this inner wall here, this is a bit hard to close, but you have to go out to the tip
Mm-hmm.
and then back up quickly. Right here, just step inside. I'll get you clear. So again, going off of what we did earlier, we want to do this with as little as possible because, as you know, scarcity is a thing. Now, Cherno Industrial does have a lot of potential spawns, and that's great, but you won't always get them there. But we're assuming that you're going off the lowest common denominator. You can't find plank pallets, and you have to split your own logs to make planks. So you always want to start these off with fence frames first, and then do the lower portion as we said before. This one will require a barbed wire. Let me see here. Let me make sure you can see this too. Actually, we'll talk about the blocking first, and then we'll go over some of the finer points. This door back here isn't necessary, but so basically to lock this off, the thought was we wanted the building secure first, so we create a fence kit here, and then once you get the supplies to make the what is this, a hinge, then you can start to make the door. But this door, you can just ignore the one we have here. And then if you check the back area, we just took one fence kit and roped it off diagonally so people cannot enter. They literally have to breach. And another, I don't know if we covered this before, but there's two placeable heavy objects, barrels and the wire mesh that you can fill up with dirt.
Yep.
And if you did this, whether it's wood or metal, metal being the better one, you can stack them here. Or I'm sorry, once you have that built, if there were no platform here, you could stick a wire mesh barrier or a barrel filled with liquid. So even if they broke this bottom piece, how are they going to crawl in if there's a mesh barrier in their face? They can't.
No, they can't at all.
Create some stairs, you got yourself a little peeking hole. But more importantly, what really makes this excellent is, as Razor was saying earlier, these different vantage points we have all over the place, especially into the hill that's looking down on us. You have lots of space. If you are lucky enough to get a tent off the rip, and I'm assuming that you don't, so just assume that these extra materials that were here from dupers isn't here. But if you were lucky enough, you do have room for tents, which is great. They prevent items from being despawned when you place items inside of them, actually inside their inventory. But if we go upstairs, this is what we're going to be adding to, you and I, on this little segment, and then we'll be adding to the perimeter. If we go up to the top, to this portion, you'll notice once we create the gateway downstairs, or even that breach, one great way to kind of counter people coming in is look this blue top. We can also add more fences on top of here. So if someone's trying to break in, we're like, hey Razor, go clap that dude's buns. You're like, Roger.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then just look at this. I have a line of sight on this guy right here.
I mean, to be honest too, if you wanted to be real fancy with it, once we start building on the top, you can put a gate right there so you can open it, drop down on these, and then come down and flank the guy down low. And okay, so this door that he's looking at too as well. If you take a little peep on my stream up there on those catwalks, you get on the third one, you'll have line of sight on anybody who's right here as well. Or if you get up on that little corner right there, you can hold that little peak and shoot down on them. Depending on how deep you take this diagonal piece into the building, you could do a lot of things with it, but the way he's got it built, That'd be awesome to have like a gate, and then all of a sudden, boom, you just bust out, come down here, and clap them from behind.
Isn't that nice? And you can even create little well, if you notice this little wedge, if you're looking at me,
Yeah.
that one blind side that we had
Mm.
behind me,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a blind side for me anymore because who's gonna shoot me from back there? They can't get to me.
Nah. The only people that
So
could
to
get to
create
you are
little,
people out in that field, but by the time you come down and you fall down each one of those, they're not gonna catch you. They're not gonna
yeah,
catch you.
and on PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, having alternate accounts, and now again, the alternate account has to be on the same server and it has to be geared, and you have to walk it to this location. You could have your backups. If it is your base, I'd highly recommend keeping at least one alt signed in or signed out inside this location. So in case something bad goes on, you at least have another shot at it. Whether you believe in alternate accounts or not, but it is the smart thing to do. And just a reminder that family accounts do exist both for Xbox One and for the PlayStation 4. So once you bought the game and your online service, you don't have to buy the game or another Xbox Live or the PlayStation Network again. So you can just piggybacks off your main account. So if you're not using alts, you're not doing it right. So just keep that in mind. And we can also create little pieces of cover here, so to even counter the people in those pine trees just off yonder by the power lines, if they were to counter snipe on us. So if we had just a little bit of cover, we'd ultimately have a very powerful position,
Oh yeah, for sure.
creating creating a starting point for us. Ooh, my legs. For us here to rope off the rest of the structure, the rest of the perimeter, excuse me, as long as we've got this center stronghold locked off. And I mean, you just need 2 gates, really, and you're good.
And I mean the way we did it too. If you guys are familiar with H1Z1, uh, it's kind of got similarities when it comes to the gates. But you can actually set up your gates, and now this depends on how good you are at building. But you could literally set this up and see how many gates you could fit in this bottom area, and kind of create like a little trap door. You know what I mean? Like you could put one gate here, and then maybe one in the middle here, and then every time you come in, you open a gate, you shut it. If somebody follows you, then you would shut like maybe one you could fit here, and then trap them in. You know, like they would be forced to either log out or break out, and by then you're already gonna open the door with your buds and clap them. Pretty
Creating
unique
those
build
kill
though.
funnels. And
Yep. Yep.
yeah, look at that, dude. Stand on the stairwell. Can you see me over that wall on that little landing? Look at
Oh yeah.
look. Even when the door's shut, imagine the wall being built up completely there. Razor can shoot me in the face. Like
Mhm.
this guy's like, let's loot these guys. And you're like, blah blah blah.
And if you
I'm
really think,
done, dude.
yeah, if you
Razor's got me.
and if you think about it too, if say if we just put metal sheets on the bottom there where he's out, you know, where he's at, you could basically put metal sheets, and then they're forced to break the door, but you can leave the top wide open and just cap them as they come in. And even if they clap you on the steps, A, they can't get your loot, and B, by the time they're breaking that wall down together, your buddy Scuba Steve is gonna come up top of this ladder, just like this. He's gonna come
I'll
out the
stand
top
inside,
door.
so I'm a would-be
Yep, you're
would-be
would be,
raider.
yeah, a vandalizer.
They're like, look at these guys. Let's rob them.
They're like,
We just had a wipe. I bet
let's
these
just
guys got
rob
loot.
'em.
Blup, blup.
Yep, clapped. Yeah, but look
I'm
at
right
look.
here, busy
Oh
on the
yeah.
wall. Eh, eh, eh.
They'd be busy on the wall,
got
dude.
me,
You just
dude.
come
I'm
up
done.
behind and done. I mean, unless they
Well,
got
think about
a
this,
guy
Razor.
in the field or something, that's all I could think of that would absolutely like render you useless. But still, somebody's got to be a hell of a good shot while you're dropping, you know?
Oh yeah, 100%. No, like everything you were saying before, and even like right now, it's just this position really plays into that by starting it on the interior,
Mhm.
and we're making the funnel, we're making the kill box, whether it's the interior or exterior. But check this out. So if Razor's on top scoping me, you know who's going to be looting this a lot? Other players. Those military tents off there. So we'll be looting them, but so will other people, and they'll most likely have loot on them. So we'll be grabbing all the loot there, but we'll also be clapping other players and taking their stuff and coming back to the honeypot and loading it up.
Mhm.
Because remember, that's a hot zone right there. The shoreline is just off yonder.
I mean, people thought they were cool on a few other servers that built like some tent towns like in between here and the military little camp there, but they end up like deserting it because they don't really utilize anything. They don't care about loot. They don't care about structures because they're just got duped loot. Why do you gotta care about structures when you
Yeah,
got infinite tents? You know what I mean? It's like, who cares about that? Because when this comes into play, and I promise you, mark my words, when 1.4 drops, building is going to be like essential. This is finally going to turn into a survival game, not the survival of the dupers, you know, and how many people you can
yeah,
clap.
loot's gonna mean something.
Yeah, it's gonna have that, adrenaline-based gameplay again that you guys haven't been worried about for so long. You know, I mean, who in chat's
The fear is
worried?
back.
Yeah, who in chat's actually worried about loot? Let's face it. You know, it's like, oh, look at, we got most of our stuff from people we clapped. And honestly, I don't know how many times I ran in a bird box butt naked. I pick up a weapon, I shoot a dude, I take all their gear, I run out. But now it's gonna be
Yeah,
like they shoot you, you're dead. They
they're
take
gonna
your
run.
stuff. They're gonna run. They're gonna run. That's why we're gonna get the
Well,
gunner
and
and run them
like
over.
the scarcity is back, the fear is back, like you're saying, and you really want to do things on the cheap. You really want to pick and choose when you do the engagements. It's no longer going to turn into this death match, which is what it's been with all this duping and the economy's trashed. Like, we know what it feels like to play legit. We know what it's like to have really high value weapons. Like, when I see a LAR, I'm going to baby that thing until I have two LARs, and then I'll go out with one of the LARs. So, like, these people that have been duping are going to be hurting when this comes out because they forgot how to play the game. They don't know where to look for the loot, and they're going to be the first ones complaining. I guarantee it. Well, check this out. So, like, two things here, Razor on the exterior.
Hold on, let me come back down.
Is it two things? And then
Just
we'll move on to the next segment, the next piece, and we'll start doing some construction stuff and nailing down the perimeter. But we had this before, but somebody busted down our walls. It's so funny. We find all this trash. I collected it and put it here in these various locations where we're building.
mm,
And I assume that the dupers didn't want any kind of construction materials, and sure enough, all the shit I stockpiled here
mhm.
is pretty much here, except for this wall got beat down. But if you're on the exterior, I'll show you something, and then bring up another interesting point, and then we'll move on to the next blocky.
Yeah, let me just do
What's
something
up?
real
People are
quick.
asking, when is the update? We are shooting this July 22nd, depending on when these videos come out or stream. It should be this week sometime. It's most likely going to be Tuesday or Thursday based off of previous release times, although it could still release on Friday. Now, there's a caveat with that. There is, if everything goes well in certification, it is
Mhm.
most likely this week. But if there is a hiccup, the process will start over and it will be weeks from that point. So knock on wood, I only have glass. I have no wood. Um, I hope everything goes well and I hope there's no hiccups because that means we're going to get it. I was hoping it was today. That's kind of the reason why we're starting late. But check this out. So when this wall is built, um, just imagine the walls here. Imagine when I come out. So one of the vulnerable points is this wall here, or
Mm,
I'm sorry, this hill.
mm.
Look, it gives us cover to wrap around the building.
Oh yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
that
I mean,
gross?
yeah. You just kind of hurry up and do the hustle that way.
Yeah, it gives you a nice little cover on the way out, which was kind of a nice. I did it by accident because I thought, and by the way, 104 placement of fence kits is a bit more lenient. It seems a bit more strict here in 102, so that's nice. So you'll have more access to building locations for that. And okay, so one of the final things for this is uh, another reason, or just talking about this location again, power plant. Having these types of doors is great when you have a vehicle that you would like to stow, because then you just open them up and drive in. We'll most likely create some sort of car garage, either with watch